10:13 Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. The atmosphere inside the sports venue was charged with anticipation. 300 people packed a space originally designed for boxing matches. However, that night, there were no fights scheduled on the official calendar. No tickets had been sold to the general public. No event had been formally announced. Only whispers, speculation, and a challenge that had been brewing for 3 full weeks. A challenge that simply shouldn't exist. A challenge that would either become legend for future generations or be buried in absolute oblivion. Pause. Muhammad Ali, the world heavyweight champion, stood 6 feet 3 inches tall and weighed 210 pounds of sculpted muscle and lightning-fast reflexes. The man who floated like a butterfly and stung like a bee. The man who had defeated every challenger presented to him, who had defended his title against the strongest, toughest, and most dangerous fighters on the entire planet. He stood in the center of a professional boxing ring, wearing white shorts and red gloves. His torso gleamed under the powerful arena lights. His body represented a masterpiece of athletic eclectic. Shoulders like solid rocks, thick arms overflowing with power. A chest that absorbed thousands of punches and continued beating strong. He was the undisputed king of combat sport, and that night he had issued a challenge that absolutely no one expected. That night he had publicly challenged Bruce Lee. Pause. Subscription hook. If this story is captivating you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to not miss any impactful stories like this. Hit like if you want to know how this legendary encounter ends. Pause. Bruce Lee stood 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighed 35 pounds. He was a martial arts instructor from Hong Kong who had been causing a sensation in Hollywood with his philosophy and public demonstration. He wasn't a professional boxer. He had never set foot inside an official ring. He possessed no heavyweight championship, no Olympic medal, no recognized title in the world of established combat sports. But he possessed something else, something different, an extraordinary reputation. Rumors claiming his speed defied the laws of physics. Stories maintaining he could throw punches faster than the human eye could track. Legends assuring he had mastered something that went beyond what Western boxing understood or recognized. For 3 full weeks, the martial arts community and the boxing world had been vibrating with speculation. It all began at a private party in Beverly Hills. Ali was present at that party, surrounded by celebrities, being the center of attention as he always was. Someone mentioned Bruce Lee's name. Someone commented that Bruce had claimed martial arts could surpass traditional boxing. Ali laughed, not with malice or contempt, but with the natural confidence of a man who had faced the best and won every time, without exception. "Bring him to me," Ali said, his voice resonating throughout the room. "Let him hit me. Let me see this kung fu magic everyone constantly talks about. I'll stand completely still. I won't block any punch. I won't move an inch. Just let him hit me with his best shot. Then we'll know if kung fu is real or just choreographed dancing." The challenge wasn't meant to be taken with absolute seriousness. It was Ali being Ali, the natural showman, the entertainer, the man who could promote a fight better than anyone else in the history of the sport. But the news spread quickly, through the martial arts schools of Los Angeles, through the Hollywood studios where Bruce was working on various projects, through the morning newspapers and radio stations. Muhammad Ali challenges Bruce Lee, the world's greatest boxer, versus the mysterious martial artist from Hong Kong. Bruce heard about it the next day. He was teaching a private class at his Chinatown school when one of his most dedicated students showed him the newspaper article. The headline proclaimed, "Ali says, show me your best punch." Bruce read the entire article in absolute silence. His students waited, anticipating anger or immediate rejection, but Bruce simply folded the newspaper carefully and set it aside. "Interesting," was all he said. 2 weeks of verbal exchanges followed. Ali's team made it public to the media. They wanted a visual spectacle, a decisive demonstration, definitive proof that boxing was superior to Eastern martial arts. Bruce's team was cautious from the start. This wasn't a real regulated fight. This was a challenge specifically designed to publicly humiliate. If Bruce declined the invitation, people would say he was afraid of the champion. If Bruce accepted and failed in his attempt, his reputation would be destroyed forever. But if he accepted and succeeded, he would have to achieve the impossible. He would have to strike the fastest heavyweight boxer in all of history. A man whose defensive reflexes were so sharp he could dodge punches he didn't even see coming toward him. Finally, Bruce made his decision. He called Ali's manager directly by phone. "I accept," Bruce said simply, without hesitation. "But this isn't a regulated fight. This is a controlled demonstration. One single punch. That's all." He remains motionless. "I strike once. Then we're done. No second chances. No future rematches. One single moment. That's all history needs to witness." Ali's team They established specific terms. A private, closed event. No mass media. No professional cameras. Only eyewitnesses. People from both the boxing world and martial arts. People who could verify exactly what happened that night. The location would be the downtown sports arena, a place Ali regularly used for training. The date, February 12, 1972, Saturday night. Now that night had finally arrived, and 300 people filled the sports arena, surrounding the ring, sitting in the front rows, pressed together, with the characteristic energy of a crowd that knows it's about to witness something that shouldn't be happening. Among them were boxing coaches who had worked with world champions, martial arts masters who had dedicated their entire lives to combat, sports journalists who had covered every major fight for decades, Hollywood actors and producers, and ordinary people who heard the rumors and somehow managed to get invited. The ring was illuminated by powerful overhead lights. Everything outside the squared circle remained submerged in deep shadows. The resulting effect was theatrical, dramatic to the extreme. This was a stage, and the two men in the center were about to star in something that 300 witnesses would discuss for the rest of their natural lives. Muhammad Ali stood in the center of the ring. He was loose, relaxed, smiling from ear to ear. He was in his natural element. This was what he did best. This was who he was in essence. The man who thrived under extreme pressure. The man who turned every moment into a memorable spectacle. He bounced slightly on his feet, shook his muscular arms, rotated his neck naturally. His red gloves caught the bright light. He looked toward the expectant crowd, smiled widely, raised his arms to the sky. "I am the greatest," he shouted loudly, and the crowd erupted in reaction. Half cheered enthusiastically. The other half remained in tense silence. The tension was absolutely electric. Ali stopped bouncing on his feet. He looked down directly at Bruce. The height difference was absolutely absurd to behold. Ali was 8 inches taller, 75 pounds heavier. His reach advantage was enormous and undeniable. His fists, even inside the padded gloves, were twice the size of Bruce's fists. He smiled confidently. "You ready, little man?" Ali's voice was loud and clear, designed for the crowd to hear perfectly. "You're gonna hit me right here." He touched his own jaw with his red glove. "Your best shot. I'm not gonna block it. I'm not gonna move an inch. I'm just gonna stand here and take it. And when you're done, we're gonna see if Kung Fu is real or just a movie trick." The crowd murmured uneasily. Some people were excited by the spectacle. Others felt uncomfortable with the situation. This felt wrong somehow. This seemed like a set-up trap. Bruce Lee was about to strike the world heavyweight champion, and Ali wasn't even going to defend himself. If Bruce's punch had no visible effect, he would be publicly humiliated in front of 300 eyewitnesses. If Bruce's punch actually hurt Ali in some way, The boxing world would never forgive him. There was no way to win in this situation, except to do something so unexpected, so undeniable, that it completely transcended the established rules of the game. Bruce didn't respond to Ali's provocative words. He simply stood there, breathing evenly, waiting with infinite patience. The referee, a professional boxing referee who had been brought specifically to supervise this bizarre event, stepped between both men. "Gentlemen," he said, his voice revealing uncertainty, "Mr. Ali, are you completely sure you want to do this without any defense?" Ali nodded, still smiling confidently. "I'm absolutely sure. Let him hit me. I've been hit by George Foreman. I've been hit by Joe Frazier. I've been hit by Sonny Liston. Let's see what this little man can do." The referee looked directly at Bruce. "Mr. Lee, you understand the established terms, one single punch to the head or body. Mr. Ali will not block or evade the impact. After your punch, this demonstration will be officially over." Bruce nodded once. "I understand perfectly." His voice was calm, but resonated with clarity. There was something in that voice, something that made people in the crowd lean forward instinctively, something that suggested this wasn't going to unfold the way anyone expected. The referee stepped back several paces. The arena fell into sepulchral silence. 300 people simultaneously are holding their breath. Ali extended his arms widely. He layered his guard completely. His gloves hung at the sides of his body. His chin was completely exposed and vulnerable. His entire body remained open, without any protection. He was offering himself as a stationary target. The most famous, most skilled, and most dangerous boxer in the entire world stood completely defenseless before a martial artist no one in the boxing world had ever heard of. It was absurd. It was arrogant to the extreme. It was Muhammad Ali being himself. Bruce didn't move. Not yet. He stood 3 feet away in front of Ali. His hands were at the sides of his body, relaxed, no clenched fists, no obvious combat position. He was just standing there, and for 3 full seconds, absolutely nothing happened. The crowd began to shift uncomfortably. Was Bruce afraid, perhaps? Was he reconsidering his decision? Had he realized this was a terrible mistake? 3 seconds felt like a crushing eternity. The silence was absolutely overwhelming. Everyone was waiting for Bruce to finally move, waiting for the punch that would validate or completely destroy his reputation, built over years. Then Bruce moved. But he didn't throw a punch. Not yet. He took a small step forward, closing the physical distance. Now he was 2 feet from Ali, close enough to reach him, close enough to strike him. But still his hands didn't move. His body remained completely relaxed. He was looking directly into Ali's eyes, and something passed between them. Something no person in the crowd could see or perceive. A silent communication, a mutual understanding. Ali's smile faded slightly. His eyes narrowed seriously. He was seeing something in Bruce's eyes he didn't expect to find. Focus. Absolute and unbreakable focus. The kind of concentration that cannot be faked, that cannot be simulated through deception. The kind of focus that comes from a man who has trained for this exact moment for 30 full years of his life. Bruce's right hand moved. There was no visible preparation, no fist loaded backward, no telegraphed movement announcing the action. Only pure movement, a fleeting flash. His hand traveled from his side to a point 6 inches in front of Ali's solar plexus, in a time span that seemed to defy every known physical law. The sound produced wasn't a dull, heavy thud. It was a dry snap, a sharp, precise impact. Like a whip, Bruce's fist made contact with Ali's body just below the sternum, exactly at the solar plexus, that complex network of nerves that controls breathing and connects with every important vital organ. The punch wasn't wild or desperate at all. It was placed with absolute surgical precision, delivered with a force that seemed impossible given the complete absence of visible preparation. Muhammad Ali's body reacted, but not in the way a boxer's body reacts when normally hit. There was no staggering backward, no spectacular theatrical fall. Instead, Ali's knees buckled involuntarily, his legs lost all strength. His arms, which had been extended widely in his confident challenge, fell to his sides without control. His mouth opened completely. He tried to breathe. He couldn't. His diaphragm had gone into violent spasm. The nerves in his solar plexus had been completely overloaded. He was conscious. His brain was functioning normally, but his body had stopped obeying the orders he was trying to send it. He sank onto one knee, then onto both knees. He was on the canvas, kneeling, the world heavyweight champion, brought down by a single punch from a man 75 pounds lighter than him. The arena went into absolute silence, not a single audible sound. 300 people frozen, trying to mentally process what they had just witnessed, trying to understand how a man who was simply standing motionless, hands down, had managed to strike the greatest living boxer with such speed and precision that absolutely no one saw the punch coming, trying to reconcile the image of Muhammad Ali kneeling, unable to breathe, defeated by a punch that had seemed completely effortless. 5 seconds passed slowly. Ali still remained on his knees. His hands were resting on the ring canvas. He was leaning forward, trying to force his lungs to function again, trying to pull air into his body that refused to cooperate. His face was contorted, not so much in physical pain, but in profound shock, in total disbelief. This wasn't supposed to be possible under any circumstances. He had been hit by the hardest punches in professional boxing. He had received impacts that would have hospitalized normal men. But none of them felt remotely like this. None of them had shut down his body so completely, so instant. Bruce Lee stood over him, not celebrating any victory, not boasting in any way, simply standing there. His hand had returned to his side. His expression remained unchanged, calm, focused, waiting patiently. The referee ran toward them, dropping to his knees beside Ali. "Champion, are you okay? Can you breathe?" Ali nodded weakly. His breathing was gradually returning. The muscle spasm was releasing slowly. Painfully, he sucked in an irregular, harsh gulp of air. Then another. His body was functioning again. He raised his head, looked up directly at Bruce, and for the first time in his entire complete professional career, Muhammad Ali had no words to say. Bruce extended his hand toward him. Ali stared at it for a prolonged moment, then took it firmly. Bruce helped lift the heavyweight champion to his feet completely. Ali stood up, still swaying slightly. He shook his head, trying to clear it, trying to understand exactly what had happened in those seconds. He looked Bruce directly in the eyes. "What did you do to me?" His voice sounded hoarse, barely audible to those nearby. Bruce's response was calm, pronounced only for Ali to hear. "I showed you what you asked to see. Martial arts aren't conventional boxing. It's not about brute muscular power. It's about millimetric precision, about deeply understanding the human body, about striking not where you see strong muscle, but where you find structural weakness. Every body has vulnerable points, pressure points, nerve clusters, energy meridians. You are the strongest living boxer, but strength doesn't matter at all if I don't hit your strength. I hit your inherent vulnerability." Ali took a deep, full breath. His body was functioning normally again. His pride was hurt much more deeply than his physical body. He looked at Bruce with completely new eyes, eyes that had witnessed something he didn't believe was remotely real. He extended his red glove forward. Bruce shook it firmly. Ali pulled him close, spoke directly in his ear, so only Bruce could hear. "Nobody's gonna believe this really happened." Bruce nodded with understanding. "I know perfectly, but you'll know it, and that's enough for me." Ali stepped back, raised Bruce's hand in the air above their heads, the traditional gesture of a champion acknowledging another worthy warrior. The crowd erupted in reactions, half in enthusiastic cheers, half in total confusion. Arguments exploded immediately everywhere, people shouting, debating heatedly. What exactly did we just witness? Was what we saw real? Did Ali let him win deliberately? Was it all staged and acted? Bruce Lee left the ring without delay. He didn't stay to answer anyone's questions. He didn't grant interviews to journalists. He simply walked through the crowd, went through the exit and disappeared into the Los Angeles night. Muhammad Ali remained in the ring longer, conversing with trainers, with journalists who weren't supposed to be present there, but who had somehow managed to get into the venue. He told them all exactly the same thing he would tell everyone for the rest of his life. "Bruce Lee hit me. I didn't see it coming toward me. I didn't feel the impact approaching, and then I couldn't breathe at all. That little man has something genuine, something completely real." But the outside world didn't believe the story. The story would be told again and again, but systematically dismissed. Martial arts masters would repeat it with reverence. Bruce Lee's students would swear it happened exactly that way. But the mainstream sports media would completely ignore it. They'd call it an unfounded rumor. They'd call it an invented urban myth. Because how can a 35-pound man bring down the heavyweight champion with a single unique punch? It defies all known logic. It absolutely defies everything boxing teaches as foundation. It can't be real truth, except it was. 300 witnesses saw it with their own eyes, and Muhammad Ali felt it in his own body. For the rest of his life, every time someone asked him who had hit him hardest in his entire career, he gave the expected public answers: George Foreman, Joe Frazier, Sonny Liston. But in private conversations, in quiet moments, away from cameras and microphones, he told the absolute truth. "Bruce Lee, one single punch. I didn't see it coming toward me, and I'll never forget it as long as I live." Long pause. Did this legendary story impact you? Subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories that defy the impossible. Share this video with someone who admires these combat legends. Leave me in the comments what lesson you take from this encounter between two of the greatest of all time. See you in the next video with more secret stories of Bruce Lee.